Thanks for tuning in to Sunshine State Showcase. If this is your first time here, my name is Ashley, and this is the podcast where we celebrate the creative spirit of Florida in every corner. This episode takes us over to the spirit of the Suwannee Music Park in Live Oak, Florida for Suwannee Spring Reunion. This is an interview that I recorded with my dear friend Heidi Jamila, bandmate for life, soul sister. We actually met at this festival more than a decade ago. She ended up moving to the Florida Panhandle where I live. We got in a band together, and long story short, she got a big girl job, and she moved across the pond to Germany, got married, brought her boyfriend, who is now her husband, over. He fell in love with the festival, and now they come as often as they can to Suwannee Spring Reunion and Roots Revival. We talk about Heidi's move to Europe. We talk about how Bluegrass is alive and thriving in Europe and her involvement with the European Bluegrass Music Association. And we talk about lots of the festivals that are happening over there. It's really exciting. And we also talk about the love of jamming in the States and, of course, over there in Europe. I really think you're going to enjoy this one. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Heidi, thank you so much for being on the show. It was an absolute delight. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so that you don't miss any new episodes. And if you're on an audio platform listening, then make sure you follow the podcast and share this with all your friends. Well, without further ado, sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Today we are here with my dear friend Heidi Jamila, who has traveled all the way here from where her home is now, which is Germany. I met Heidi here, out here, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. What's it like to be back here?
It's early in the festival. There's been a couple hurricanes that have blazed through. The last time we attempted to come was when it was canceled, and the headliner was Molly Tubble in the Golden Highway. I was sad to miss her play. So we were bummed out. We couldn't come to the festival. We still went and saw each other in Santa Rosa Beach. So now that I'm back, I'm glad to see the nature will restore itself. The oak trees, the live oaks, they have a lot of branches missing, so it's very open, but you can see the trees are still alive and it's growing back, and the vibe is still here, and I feel like the trees still want to hear the music, and they stood strong to be here. It's definitely a homecoming feeling. My husband also is so excited and energetic to be here, and it's still early days, stages haven't even started, and we're just buzzing with anticipation. It's almost indescribable, the feeling coming back, because it is like such a homecoming. It's just a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Well, we are so happy to have you back. I've missed you. I think about you all the time, and I remember all the great times we've had here. So many of the rowdy times we had here when we were youngins. We're still youngins. We're just a little bit older youngins. And what I remember when I first met you here, you actually lived in Daytona when we met. You hadn't moved to the Panhandle yet, and you were doing the volunteer check-in. What do you remember about your first year doing that? Do you remember anything special?
So my first year, I think a friend was like, "Oh, there's a cool festival thing. It's $60," and I left three $20 bills, on his table, and he grabbed me the ticket, and I came here, and I was like, "What is this?" I was an orchestra kid. I played viola. I'm not sure. I don't think I brought it. And I think Jeff Sachs from Sloppy Joe let me borrow his fiddle all night long to jam. And that was my first experience jamming. I think I went back to Daytona and jammed with some blues folks after that. But that was really my first experience jamming here, which is amazing. That started it all. So the volunteer check-in, I started meeting people, buzzing around. A friend from middle school was doing the volunteer check-in. Yeah, Carissa Frost. And she was like, "You should do the check-in with me next year." So I said, "Yeah." So I met Sonny Perez and Randy Judy, and I were acquainted. So I feel honored that I could know him. This is really odd. Volunteer check-in. There was more than 50% left-handers.
What?
Yeah. the volunteers, for some reason, everybody was left-handed.
Are you left-handed?
Yes. I was super happy doing the volunteer check-in. Really cool to be able to do that and see everybody who can make the festival come alive. Because you need responsible people to show up for your shift. When you're on shift, and when you're off, you're off. It's totally cool, and it just really brings it alive to have volunteers. They mean everything.
They are. They're the heartbeat of the festival. And so, with few exceptions, as in the 2 decades roughly that I've known you from here, you've hardly missed any of them. I mean, for the most part, you've been here every year. When did it stop feeling like just this festival, like, oh, I went to that festival, and feeling more like a home?
Oh, it was pretty quick. So when in 2001, I went on the road, and I was a busker for 2 years, and I went all the way out to California and back and everywhere in between. So I did miss those 2 years. And then I went to all these other festivals out west and everything, and it's hard to come close to this one. It was really, a tough match, and it's like, this is my home festival, and I would talk about my home festival and what it's like there, and the jamming, and the different, how they build up the camps. I guess when I was away those 2 years, that's when I felt like, that this is the one. This is my home festival, and I could brag about Florida's, Golden Suwannee here.
I love that so much. I remember my first memory of you here. It was in Slopperland, and I don't know where they came from, but there were all these hats. And you had, I'm wanting to say it was a bowler derby. And maybe you were wearing either suspenders or overalls. I can't remember.
Suspenders.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's my first memory of you here.
A little bit of ska influence.
Yep. That was so fun. What did volunteering teach you about this community here?
It taught me that, like, if you want to do a little bit of work, you can definitely be in the in crowd. Like, that's the cool part of volunteering. I think that's it. It taught me to really hold dear everything that we have, and it taught me that the musicians are approachable, and festival organizers are also approachable if they're not busy at the moment. But that's the thing, if you have an idea, if you have something to offer, it's totally doable. You don't have to feel so separated. It's not like the organizers and musicians are on some pedestal. Like, we still are all family. Even though someone's on the stage, backstage, you're in the audience, you're still a part of it. The audience is still important in places like this. And if you want to level up and get involved, that's totally in your realm of possibility.
Totally true. And now we're going to go back to, because you're a multi-instrumentalist, and that's something I really love about you, Heidi. And to seeing you progress over the years has really been awesome. Because I do remember you having a viola out here, and I thought, oh, how unique. You see a fiddle all the time. Occasionally you see a cello, but you don't see a viola. And I was thinking, that's really, really cool. And you also play guitar and probably some other instruments as well, and you write songs. We used to sit around and write songs together. Those were great times.
Whiskey mornings.
That's right, whiskey mornings. Well, we will omit an inappropriate joke. What instrument would you say feels like it's the most at home for you right now?
This is a tough question, because I'm just getting, I'm self-taught guitar player, and I'm just now getting lessons, practicing scales and practicing leads. That was important for me, and really working on my pick technique on guitar. So guitar is like the one I gravitate to. But this fiddle that I got, I mentioned earlier, I was a busker on the road. I went from Florida with a viola. I came back with a viola and a fiddle. And it is actually a real fiddle from Washington State, built in the 80s. A luthier told me it was a fiddle, and I go, oh, there's a difference?
So I gotta go there. What's the difference between a fiddle and a violin, Heidi?
Well, there's lots of jokes, about always spill beer or whiskey on it, that it's a fiddle, which is also true.
Yeah.
But apparently, this luthier in Tallahassee, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's in the Panhandle. I have to look up her name, and you can put it in there.
Sure.
She's really lovely. She really fixed everybody's instruments from our Santa Rosa Beach community. She looked at it. She goes, "Oh, this is a real fiddle?" And I was like, "Okay, what's the difference?" And she said, "Oh, millimeter here, or this or there." So it's like small millimeter measurements.
In the setup.
Yeah, and my fiddle is like kind of extra long, has a really thin neck. It's a nice solid back, and it has a really warm tone that really pushes out. So that's the instrument I feel at home with. I went on that journey. It was tough, and I came back with an instrument that I really love, that I played on professionally for many years. So that's my home instrument. But like I said, my guitar is like this new home that I'm finding. And interestingly enough, it's a Hohner, which is a German brand, and they just dissolved.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so now my guitar is like super special, because they're not going to make any more Hohners.
I have a Hohner accordion. That's cool. Yeah. Now, how has your relationship to music changed over the years? And particularly, I've noticed you tend to have two flavors. You'll play the acoustic fiddle, and then you also like to let it loose with the electric as well. So how have things changed, and especially with that dynamic?
I left Florida, and I got a day job. No shame. If you're a musician and you have a day job, that is totally cool. You are still a musician.
Yep.
I'm going to make that clear to all musicians out there. You're still a musician, no matter what day job you have, no matter what hours you do. So I got a day job, a comfortable paycheck, and then that job brought me to the UK. I lived in northern England. I had no problem finding other musicians in the UK. It's very alive and well, the music scene. And I played electric a lot there. Like, I played some high energy electric fiddle. It's a 5-string, so I've got the viola aspect on my electric. So that was the UK, and now in Germany I'm coming back to my acoustic fiddle roots.
Cool. And for folks who might not make the connection, how is the extra string on the electric violin, how does that parallel to the viola? What's the relationship that makes them similar?
So it's the C string, it's a low C string. So you've got C, G, D, A is the string setup.
Cool. I'm sure somebody's going to enjoy learning that. All right. And you just said a moment ago that bluegrass is thriving in Europe, and I love that so much, because one of my life goals is to make it over there someday and see you and other friends and go to festivals and find out what everything's like over there. So for folks who might not realize here in the United States, or anywhere in the world for that matter, how alive and how thriving is bluegrass in Europe right now?
I was incredibly surprised how thriving it is, and how many well-established festivals there are of bluegrass, like real bluegrass. So like I said, in the UK, I had no problem finding it. When I moved to Germany with my husband, I couldn't find jams. It was right after COVID. I just assumed in my mind, I'm sure some local pub will have an acoustic jam, but it's not. It just wasn't there, maybe after post-COVID times. So I was desperate. I was searching on the internet.
I remember that.
For jams. So I came across the EBMA website. It's the European Bluegrass Music Association website. And it had a cool little map, the website was a little older. I was like, this is cool, I'll sign up. So I signed up, and then maybe 6 months down the road, they send out a general email saying, we're going to have a general meeting. We might dissolve the EBMA.
Oh, no.
And I was like, it's strange. Okay, well, I'd like to do something, a volunteer. I was on a business trip for my day job, and I had the evening free. I was like, let's show up to this meeting. there were people talking about their festivals, there were people wanting to help, and it was obvious, clear from this meeting, the EBMA would continue. There were enough people interested. I think it was COVID times, you know, the association struggle. This is like kind of the nature of nonprofit. It takes work and dedication to keep it going. So I was so happy. There was somebody who was like leadership role, Christopher Howard Williams, who knew kind of like the legalities of continuing it. Basically what happened was I got elected to the EBMA board and then somebody there said there's a jam in Oldenburg, which was like an hour and a half west. I went to that jam. Then they told me about the WhatsApp groups for Hamburg, which is where I live. I live close to Hamburg. So it took, the internet searches are a little different in Europe. You don't get like quite the hits that you expect. You really have to know the website, the WhatsApp group, kind of got to be in the know where to look to find these jams. So through the EBMA, through this random internet search, I found Bluegrass jams. And that's where it started in Europe for me.
Oh, that's really, really cool. And what surprised you the most when you first got involved in that scene?
That we all knew the same tunes.
I love that. Oh, my other question is, did you meet many expats? Were there lots of other expats who are now in Europe and they were looking for the same thing?
Yes, there's a few, I would say. Maybe like 20%, but it really is like Europeans
I love that.
to learn the music that are really studied. They know, you know, the histories, the best artists. They get excited about it. And then when I say, oh, I've seen, you know, Bela Fleck and his wife play here at Suwannee, they're like, ooh, you know, I've seen Tony Rice play. They're like, wow. And I'm like, oh yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I've seen these artists, you know, some that are no longer with us, especially Vassar Clemens. Like, I got to shake Vassar's hand when I was 18, you know? He was just the sweetest guy. So, this was really special. But yeah, it's a few expats and mostly native Europeans.
Cool, cool. Now, from a performance level, like if you're performing on stage over there, how does the audience culture or audience energy compare to over here in the States?
It's a little different. So many people in Europe don't know what bluegrass is. It's kind of a niche that's not quite yet known. And that's something that EBMA and festivals want to work towards, is to get more fans involved. I would say right now, which it's cool for us musicians, if you show up, it's like everybody plays. You know, most of the attendees are players.
Cool.
So it's like really great jams. And there's jam pockets everywhere at such events. So the audience is being educated, I would say, in Europe. They're still learning what bluegrass is, because they're like, oh, is it kind of like country? And, you know, they're still kind of getting to know it, I would say.
Did they realize that bluegrass is part of the evolution from music that came from like the UK and like Ireland and the British Isles?
Yes, indeed. Especially the British folks. They're very proud. They want to like be like, oh, okay,
the roots are here.
Yeah. There is a BBMA, the British Bluegrass Music Association. When I lived there, I didn't know about them though. But now I know some of the guys there.
That's
They're very
cool.
proud of the bluegrass roots from their side. Also the mandolin story. The mandolin was brought over by Italians to America. There was like a mandolin band. Then might have swapped this, please forgive me. Then I think there was a group of Spanish folks that were impersonating the Italian mandolin players, and there was like the Italian mandolin band, and that was in the early mid-1800s. So there was a influx of mandolins into the States. So that's how Bill Monroe ended up with the mandolin. He was like, oh, I guess I'll play the mandolin. And everybody else played other instruments. So the mandolin has roots in Southern Europe. That's also cool.
You know, he wanted to be a fiddle player, but that's what his brother played.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of people don't know this. Bill Monroe wasn't a bad guitarist either. He was pretty good. So in your involvement with the EBMA, what's something you've noticed they were doing really well, Heidi?
We started it up again.
Yeah.
That's the most awesome part. I love that we're mixed ages, different levels of experience, especially Christopher Howard Williams was our chairman to begin with. He made the manifesto to get it continued and knows all the rules, along with Angelica Hermach from Switzerland. The EBMA bylaws and all the legalities are in Switzerland, so you must have a Swiss treasurer. We have that, Angelica. So we have these, two experienced long-timers. We also have our Irish guy, Ronnie, who's also been in the scene and does a radio show in Ireland, a Bluegrass radio show.
Cool.
And then we have young folks. We have our new chairman is Charlotte Salamakers. And so she's powerhousing, leading into the future. And yeah, like I said, it's young and old, and some of the younger folks, they have the technical savvy, can, post things on timers and do graphic design, and just, it's amazing how we've really come together and we utilize all the skills that everybody has. For me, I'm mid-range technical ability, so I'm kind of the idea person. Well, we all have great ideas. I'm the organizer. Okay, can we make this happen? Sometimes I have too many ideas and they have to tell me to scale back. But in general, I think what we're doing well is we're going, we're moving, we're accomplishing goals that we set from last year. We've been together, the new board's been together a little over 2 years, so it's still quite new. And nonprofit does move a bit slower, and that's okay, because we're all, we all have our day jobs, or others, some are full-time musicians, so this is done in our spare time. So I'm really impressed that we're moving so fast as we do. The summit it's like a conference, so it's a little bit of showcases and a little bit of, actually a lot of great showcases, and some conference talks, panels, and things like that. We'll do a little bit of everything. So we've done that for 2 years so far. Great successes and great networking opportunities for everybody. So we've done that really well. We've made our online presence, increased that, and really just bringing it back, being present, being available for the community.
I love that so much. So in one sentence, what does the European Music Association do, and why is it important?
Connecting bluegrass lovers throughout Europe.
You got it, girl. All right. And what does your role as the secretary actually look like day to day?
So it's not every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my brain is, of course, on it every day because I love
counts.
it. It's for the love.
Yeah.
My secretary duties are making sure everybody's aware of code of conduct, ways of working, by checking just all the written material. We work on Google Drive. It's free for nonprofit, maybe. We work on Canva for graphic design. There's a free version. So we try to use tools that everybody can access, kind of like SharePoint on Microsoft, so we can pick up where we left off. So that added benefit of some modern software is just wonderful, and if we say if I say, oh, I didn't finish this thing, Kathleen, can you help me out? She's like, something, or I forgot to post this, and someone else is like, no problem. So I love that we pick up off of each other.
Like being in a band, kind of.
Yeah, it's like a band. We're the board band. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. What's coming up next for Bluegrass in Europe?
Ooh, should I show the posters at this point?
Yeah, let's see them.
Our summit was just this past 2 weeks ago. Yeah. It was so good.
So in February.
Yeah, it's on the February-March cusp. This time, so last time we partnered with a luthier, the Chopex, wonderful people. They're hard workers. They're great. They make amazing instruments. A lot of U.S. musicians buy their instruments. So they brought in John Reichman last year and band. It was really good. And this year we focused on European artists. So we had only European artists, which was really exciting. The talent level was great. So that was our summit. And then the next festival, this is a new festival called the Flying Caravan. The Dutch scene is putting on the Flying Caravan.
That looks like fun. Because they call campers caravans over there.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So this festival came out of, there used to be an EWAB. I think EWAB will continue. So EBMA and EWAB were partnered long ago, then they split up.
What's EWAB?
European World of Bluegrass.
Oh.
You know how there's IBMA and World
Stigma.
of Bluegrass? They did EWAB and EBMA. So they had a campsite at EWAB, and they were so rowdy, these Dutch people, that they got kicked out one year or something. I don't know the story. I wasn't there, so it's just, rumors and hearsay years gone by. So they started their own festival, so I'm really excited. This is the first one this year. I'm going. Very excited to jam. Because at the summit, I was too busy making the festival happen.
Right.
When I got to time to jam, I was like, oh, my fingers, my brain. So that is the Flying Caravan. Next we have...
Beautiful posters, by the way.
Yeah, it's nice design.
I love festival posters.
In Belgium, we have our shots. So this is their second year.
Cool.
What's happening?
A lot of young festivals.
Yeah, a couple new ones this year. Then we have Rotterdam first. The poster was too big to transport to the US, so I'll do their bag. Rotterdam Bluegrass Festival is super cool. It's like inside the city. So the jams are hosted by like bars around the festival site, and you stay in a hotel usually. Or sleep in your car. That probably a hotel's better. But it's got this steampunk vibe, very Rotterdam, port town. So it's very unique, and he diversifies, kind of like Suwannee. Guido likes to book bands that are bluegrass adjacent, as we say.
I like that.
Yeah, it's really fun. And then we have La Roche, Bluegrass in La Roche. It is a French festival in the French Alps. It's been happening many years. I think this is the 26th year. And it is a gorgeous scenery. It's a tiny, gorgeous little French town. So quaint. And all the cafes participate, and sometimes they even book the musicians to play at the cafe, or the jams happen at the cafe. And it's just the cutest, loveliest. And it gets really big. At the nighttime shows, there's a lot more fans that come in. So the French have this character called Lucky Luke. It's a cartoon. It's like a cowboy cartoon. So they really embraced it. When Christopher Howard Williams started this festival, he got in with like the mayor and the city council and stuff, and they do it with him. They're happy that it's there, and it's really become a great tradition. At La Roche, and now a few other places, they do a Kids on Bluegrass program.
Oh, I love that. Even
they have
better.
a youth program. And they usually have them play on stage after workshops, like in the beginning of the week. So that
reminds me of here, where they have the kids camp, and then the kids come out and perform on Sunday.
Yeah. And it's like kids that, it's incredible, their talent.
I love that.
They love it, yeah.
That's even better for, the propagating of bluegrass over there even more. You've got future generations to keep it going.
Yeah, they're really into youth education, or education in general, I think is a big focus for them, because it's like here, you just have more availability. So another thing that they do, several countries host camps, like they'll have a banjo-specific camp. The Czech Republic's doing a banjo camp. Germany has banjorie.
Ooh.
I went to a Dutch one called Sommerkamp. It's really valuable. I'd never been to a band camp before. I went to one in Holland. Yeah, it's really, you work in small groups. They give you the sheet music beforehand if you can read sheet music. If you can't, they teach you by ear when you're there. And so that was really special. Oh, and in La Roche, you can camp. Yeah, Bluegrass and La Roche, you camp. Rotterdam's kind of the hotel thing. Yeah. So different, that's what's different about these European festivals. Is you don't have as much space. When I went to EWAB, it was on a football field, like a soccer field. And then, you're camping on a soccer field. Then in the morning, there's like a wall, but you could hear the kids playing soccer next to us. Soccer game. And then another time when I went to Summer Jam in Hamburg, it's next to a soccer field again. So I'm like watching the soccer players as I'm jamming.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
So I miss you all the time, Heidi, and I'm glad you make it back as often as you do. And, when you moved away from the States, what was it that actually stayed with you?
Oh, macaroni and cheese? No.
Is that not a thing over there?
It is.
Uh-huh.
But I wanted orange Kraft macaroni.
I gotcha. Our fake dyes and shit.
Yeah, or Cheetos, Butterfingers. No. What stayed with me from the States? When I go to these bluegrass jams in Europe, it's just it just feels like home when I play this music with people from around the world, and they love it as much as we do over here. The tradition of jamming, mm-hmm. I think that stayed with me. That's so important to me. And when I joined the EBMA, it was a voting process. I was voted in somehow. And I had to do a little speech. And, I talked about the inclusivity of jamming and how I really want to celebrate that and make sure that that's alive and well in Europe. It already is alive and well. I didn't have to do anything. They loved jam. And it's the same concept. If you're learning, you can stand on the outer circle. And then if someone hears you're ready, they look at you and you play a solo. And I just love that jamming aspect, and that feels like home and the warm and fuzzy.
I love that so much because it's communication that transcends language barriers. I was at Merlefest many years ago, and I met a family from Japan, and they were playing their asses off. They were playing all traditional bluegrass. They didn't really speak English, but we were able to play and have fun all afternoon. Sorry for the interruption. I would like to say thank you to everyone who made this episode possible. If you watched our last episode with Tire Fire, you might have heard that I have some car trouble, and I'm not able to travel very far to film podcasts or play music right now, but I'm in the process of getting it fixed. But anyway, leading up to the festival, I knew that my car was not going to make it. So Nikki Talley, one of the performers, said, "Girl, you should have a live stream. You should do something. Raise the money. Get yourself here." And I did. I did a live stream. Lots of you tuned in and donated to the cause. I am so grateful to y'all. And I am also grateful to Be Sweet Y'all, Karen Key Smith, for donating to this fund so that I can rent a car, and also Jason Hedden with Panama City Comedy. Thank you both for all your love and support throughout the years. Because of them and because of the folks that donated to the live stream, I was able to rent a car, go to the festival, interview Tire Fire and Heidi, take a lot of pictures, and also I was able to write articles about the festival itself on Grateful Web. I'll post the link in the show notes so you can check that out. And this is also a great time to say that this festival could be brought to you by you. I am seeking sponsors for the upcoming season. So if you like what you're seeing and you want to support the show, send me a DM on either Facebook or Instagram, or you can email me with create@adfmedia@gmail.com. I have got spots for mid-roll ads and also post-roll ads. So if you're interested in any of that, give me a shout and I'd be happy to talk with you about that. Also, if you'd like to work with me, I have a small creative services business. It's called ADF Media, and I can help with things like podcast launches, podcast production. So if you are a person who's always wanted to have a podcast, but maybe you're just not techie or you don't have the time, I can help you with that tech lift. I also assist with social media management. I also do private consulting for different creatives. And I can also help you run a private online community such as Patreon and help you get all your strategy together with that. So if you're interested in any of those services, send me an email at createwithadfmedia@gmail.com, or you can also message me on socials. And earlier we were kind of talking about tunes, like, we play a lot of the same tunes, but maybe we play them differently. Can you tell me about any instances of that?
Oh, absolutely. That is about the language. That's an interesting aspect. A lot of the French don't know English so well, but they learn the lyrics. Sometimes they don't know what they're singing, even in English. And the common language is bluegrass.
I love
common
that.
language is music. And we all know the same tunes.
Are there any variances of the tunes? Like maybe we play it one way over here, maybe they add an extra form over there. I don't know.
Yes. So this is super cool. So you talk about the European and African and all the influence that came over to America and into this melting pot of bluegrass. Now bluegrass is like come back over to Europe, and now it's like modern influences coming in on top. Like the Czech Republic has like a long folk tradition, so they often play bluegrass and sing in their own language.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really lovely. And then they'll translate a little bit before they play. So one of my favorite artists from Czech is Ondřej Kojak. He is just multi-instrumentalist, delightful person, and he'll tell the story, before he'll sing the lyrics. And then another Czech band, Odd Platný Skok, all-female band. They played last year's summit. They were wonderful. Also Czech language. Luis Gomez is just one of my favorite people in Europe. He's a Spanish banjo player, and he plays flamenco grass.
Oh,
and
cool.
With his wife Mirabelle, who plays bass, and she sings in Spanish and there's some in English, and it's just got this flair to it, the Spanish flair. It's just wonderful. And so his variation is, you can tell it's got, I would say, like the Dutch culture, they're like wild. They love to do the all-night jams. The Germans are really exact, they're really some people in Europe want to stay traditional and don't want any fusion. So that's another interesting aspect. So every little country has different influences to add to the whole melting pot.
And it's like that here in the States too. You'll find regions where I call them lots of trad chads, or here come the bluegrass police. They run off flute players like me who like to play bluegrass, and then you'll have people who are just free radicals, which I love. And you also met someone over there who's a mutual friend of our friend Billy Gilmore. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's actually Christopher Howard Williams. He was our fearless leader when we started up the EBMA again. And he was the one who started Bluegrass in La Roche. So he's a festival organizer. He was like, do you know Billy Gilmore? And I was like, yes, I do. So sometimes I see the two of them commenting on Facebook and be like, hey. So that's really sweet.
That's neat.
Christopher was a Grateful Dead fan, first and foremost. He's a British gentleman and lives in France, and from Grateful Dead, he got into bluegrass. And of course, Billy Gilmore, Grass is Dead. You see the love connection there.
Makes total sense. Absolutely, that tracks. I still think about, you moving away from Daytona to when you joined us in the Panhandle, because that was, if I can reflect on all of the chapters of my life that I would like to repeat, it would have been, you being in the Panhandle was part of that time, because we were such dear friends. We were in a band together called the Sweater Puppets. We had way more fun than we could stand, and we learned a lot of things. And what do you think it is about those friendships that's lasted all this time? Because we still try to get together, even if we don't play. All 5 of us try to spend some time together whenever you're in town.
That's the thing. When you're in a band, it's more than the music. You're in a relationship together, and you support and love each other so much. And that's why I think being in a band is like the best thing you can do for yourself. Even if it's, even if you only play 1 or 2 gigs or something. It's so near and dear to my heart to have that relationship. Especially ladies,
Yes.
to like have this bond. And it's very vulnerable, especially like singing together, or, oh, am I doing this okay? And to be lifted up. So I'm going to share a parallel story in Europe.
Okay.
Last year's summit, we had an impromptu femme jam. It was like all ladies, like in a corner of the hotel, and like a guy would show up, and then we'd be like, "We're doing a thing here," because I think ladies work a little differently with each other. Or just people, work differently with each other. It doesn't matter which gender, but there's something about estrogen influenced people where it's like if you don't quite have something right yet, or you haven't quite figured it out, some groups of people will be like, let's work on it. You can do it. Let's do this. Let's be supportive. I have a Sweater Puppets memory that's so near and dear. We had a weekly gig at Pandora.
Yep.
We were told, yeah, Sweater Puppets can play here if Heidi doesn't sing.
That hurt me so much when I heard that.
Fair enough. I came from choir background. I didn't know how to work a microphone yet. We were very young. So you guys said, no.
Yeah.
You're going to sing your song that you wrote. You're going to sing harmonies. But that was a valuable learning experience. I don't fault the bar manager for doing that, or owner. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I don't fault him at all. He was being honest, and I think honesty is so important in this world. And I was like, okay, what can I do to make that not happen again? And you guys were so supportive, and I love that.
Awesome.
It's moments like that where I'm like, man, they got my back.
Those were great times. We had so much darn fun.
It's such a huge confidence booster, and it just being in a smaller community like it was, a small town. That's the first time I lived in a small town. It just felt like a warm hug, that we were all up in each other's business,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody knew everything about each other. In fact, I think the saying back then was, "You don't break up; it's somebody else's turn." Shout out to Denny Green. What does it feel like to come back to Suwannee now, carrying everything that you've built over in Europe?
I feel like kind of important. So I'm wearing our. Oh, thank you. I'm wearing a Diodario shirt. They sponsored our last summit. I didn't arrange it, but my 2 colleagues, Owen and Charlotte, had a meeting with Diodario, and they used my German address because shipping was cheaper. So I was getting all the material from the summit in my address. It was so exciting.
That is cool.
So they sent us a box of strings for a giveaway. No fiddle strings or bass strings. They gave us rosin and cleaning cloths. But we got to give away strings at the summit. That was cool. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt today. I'm really proud to come back and say I'm still involved in Bluegrass in Europe. How crazy is that?
And you've been on a trajectory of leadership, because you were here helping the volunteers check in, and you've taken skills from your various experiences, and now you're in a more involved leadership role over there. I'm really proud of you for that.
Aw, thank you. Another thing that I like to share with your audience is, if you want to start a jam circle, if you have an idea for a small festival, go for it. Find your people in your community and connect and say, hey, can we try this out? You get a couple numbers together, you get a venue, and you can go for it.
Yeah, do it.
Sponsors are out there. We did it. So yeah, that's one thing. I coming back. I have like flyers for Europe in case any folks from the States are privileged enough to travel to Europe. I have some material with that I can share, and all these stories that I've shared with you. Like, I'm very honored and proud to kind of be like a European representative.
Yeah, like a
bit.
liaison between both places. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking with those that you have in that bag there, if you happen to have digital copies of those, like images, what I can do is I can put them on the screen so folks can get a good look at them.
Oh, beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming back here, I'm just excited to share the news of Europe, and I'm excited to jam because I put on the summit. I did kind of like a scheduling stage manager role, and like I said earlier, I was quite tired when it came to the jams. I didn't get to jam enough, so yeah, coming back here, it's like, ooh, I can work on my chops, I can work on my skills, I can, sing some songs.
Yeah, you get to play.
Yeah.
Frolic. Let's frolic
forest.
later. Frolic through the magic forest. Awesome. So I was thinking about, because I remember when you first made the move from England to Germany, more especially, that you were telling me you were having some difficulty finding jams, and you sounded a little sad about it, and I was like, oh man. And there might be somebody else, maybe they've made a recent move to Europe, maybe they're from the States and they took a job and they've moved over there, and bluegrass or acoustic music is their passion, but they're just not so sure how to find their people. What would you want them to know?
It's out there. Sometimes it's tricky to find. So Europe usually uses WhatsApp groups to communicate, and then because of that, the EBMA started a WhatsApp group. I have a QR code. You can join the WhatsApp groups, so you can directly chat. If you're going to a specific country, there's like a chat for that country or a general chat. So that is an EBMA-driven WhatsApp group. The EBMA website, it's a new one. We're still working on it, but it works. It's good. And we try to put as much information on as possible there. And the great thing about Europe is it's small, so you can easily drive to a near festival. If there's nothing local, you can find something close by. It just took me a minute to figure out where it is, and took me a minute to find the right channels. And now that I do, like, my life is so much more fulfilled, and I feel much more relaxed. I feel like music has been given back to me. The first couple of years, it was like, I don't know.
I was kind of worried about that.
Yeah,
I really wanted you to find community over there. And so can I come over and visit and play with all your friends too?
Yeah, now I can't stop trying to ask Ash, come be a guest, come visit. They would love you.
I'm going to find a way.
Yeah.
And where can folks find and support your work, and also the EBMA?
So like I said, EBMA has a website. There's information already there. Some of it's more historical than others. So yeah, we'll have the website.
I'll put it on the screen.
Have the WhatsApp chat groups. Trying to think what else.
Are they on Instagram or Facebook?
Oh yeah, of course. The socials, yes. I don't manage the socials myself. So Miss Kathleen does that.
Cool.
She does a great job posting things. And we're trying to increase our activity on the socials this year.
So my very last question, I hope this isn't too much of a curveball for you because we didn't practice this one, is what do you want to leave behind? You're one of my most favorite creative people. You're creative in a multitude of ways. You're a fantastic baker, and you can draw really well. You write songs. You're a good dancer. You're just an all-around great creative. What do you want to leave behind for the world?
This one's got me tearing up. So I was thinking about this. There's a lot of youth initiative out there. And I was thinking maybe there should be an aging initiative. People who haven't recorded their music, talented musicians that are maybe not know going to the next place soon, so to speak, to get them recorded. And so when you talk about leaving behind, it's like we have some Sweater Puppets recordings. And I was like, well, I have other material. I have other dreams and hopes of fusion. I like fusion music, so fusion grass. I went to a conference called Your Roots Are Showing in Ireland. It's a multi-genre conference in January. And they had talks about recording music. I have slowly tried to learn Ableton Live. I'm sticking with Ableton Live, not Pro Tools, because I like a little bit of electronic in there.
That's really ambitious.
It is ambitious, step by step. So my day job, I work maritime shipping. The front desk guy happens to be Germany, you know, they like their techno. Happens to be a melodic techno fan, and he knows Ableton Live.
That's awesome.
He brings in his DJ stuff, teaching me Ableton Live slowly, carefully. I'm writing notes, so I got that. My husband helped me figure out how to connect the mic and so I'm a little bit slower learning, but I'm learning. So I want to leave behind some recorded material. So pray with me on this one that I
It'll
can
happen.
do it.
It's never been easier to make and produce music yourself. I think that, like, when you think about how when we recorded our live CD, it was like, first of all, the first track we were all drunk, and that was a complete bust. Ernest Tubb.
Oh my gosh.
And
Hal made us listen to that.
It was-
He was like, you guys, I brought all my equipment out there.
And y'all
Look
got
what you
wasted.
did. And we wanted to laugh, but we weren't supposed to laugh because he was so mad.
Yep. But the second time, it was great.
Second time we did really well. It takes a couple times.
But my point is, that was like a full, big old production. It was a
Bunch
big
of
thing.
wires.
Yes. And
Yeah.
now you can like do that you can do a live recording with almost like what we're using today. All right, Heidi. Well, thank you so much for being on the Sunshine State Showcase. And until next time, take it easy, but take it. Let's go play. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Sunshine State Showcase. And also thank you to Heidi for joining me on the show. I have absolutely loved to see how much you've grown. And thank you for being my friend and bandmate for life. I love you, lady. I hope I get to make it over there and see you. I want to let you know that this is somewhat of the season finale of Sunshine State Showcase. I'll be coming to you with a new season starting the end of August. And I'm going to have to get a little bit back to my roots, back when I had St. Andrew's Jezebel podcast and go hyper local, because the reality is my car just isn't going to get me very far right now. And I haven't had it repaired yet. I'm still saving money to get it fixed. But until I can do that, there are so many great artists, musicians, storytellers, small business owners, you name it, around the Bay County and even Walton County area that I could interview, that I know that you'll just love to hear their story. I still plan on covering whatever festivals I can cover, but until I can get a reliable car or afford rental cars, then I'm going to have to record what's local to me if I want to put out consistent content. Because to be honest with you, I really would like to put out a couple episodes per month, and right now is a good time to do it. Well, I'll see you at the end of August with new episodes of Sunshine State Showcase. Until next time, take it easy, but take it.